Jim Williams with you on the New Mexico Suncast. I'm with Katie Gutierrez. Katie is the Tax Budget and Economic Development Reform Director for Think New Mexico. Katie, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Well, we wanted to make sure that people knew behind the scenes who's working and who's doing what. Katie, I'm a retired banker.
Okay.
I spend a lot of time as I was bringing people into banking. I'm an old guy. You're a young person. I would constantly be encouraging young people to take the ball and run and be involved in leadership, not just listen to the old fogies, right?
Yeah.
So thanks for doing that. You've taken a leadership position, and that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's been a ride.
Has it?
Yeah.
Is it fun?
Yeah, it's very fun. I started out in academia and now in the policy realm, and there's so many ways that people can be leaders in their own communities.
San Antonio, New Mexico is home.
Yes.
Still home?
No, not still home. Some of my family is still there.
Okay.
But it's in the East Mountains. It's Sandia Park now, but the old name of the town was San Antonio.
Yeah. I personally have spent a lot of time in the East Mountains of the Sandias.
Okay.
So a lot of hiking, some amazing restaurants
Yes.
on the roads up there, South 14, North 14.
Yes.
And that's where you grew up?
Yeah, I grew up South 14, and then it's a straight shot up north to North 14, kind of in the Frost area is where.
And your family's 12 generation farmers.
Yeah. Not all of us. It hasn't been consistent farming, but yeah, my family has been sort of working with the land for generations.
All right, I have to confess, when I talk about weather people, if you watch 5 weather forecasts, they all have a different opinion about what the weather is going to be. So you're an economist.
It's kind of the same.
Okay, that's why I want to ask you. I mean, so when you talk about tax, budget, and economic development, before we started today, we were talking about the one of the first projects you did as an intern. Was that with Think New Mexico? Was help to get rid of the tax on food?
That was actually, I was with New Mexico Voices for Children down in Albuquerque. But yeah, that really got me interested in this sort of state level policy and how we can affect outcomes.
So when you are taking away, and I'm just rounding up, to 8% tax on every grocery item sold, so you convince somebody in the legislature that you're taking away that money and this is how do you help them understand the numbers?
Yeah, so trying not to use too many economic terms. So I don't want to tell them groceries are very inelastic. Demand for groceries is inelastic because that doesn't mean anything to any legislator. If you're in Econ 101, you might recognize that term. But I tell them, look, this is a regressive tax. If you only have $400 a month to spend for a family of 5, 8% is quite a good chunk of that.
Yes.
That's several meals that you could be missing out on.
Yes. Do you is it hard to balance what you do and live life and recreate and enjoy New Mexico?
No, actually it's not. One great thing about working for Fred is he is very into family is everything for Fred, and they're very protective of our personal time, and plus living in Santa Fe now, I was living in Albuquerque commuting up, so that did take some time, but now that I live in Santa Fe, I have a lot of opportunity to go hike, to try new restaurants. There's some great restaurants up here in Santa Fe. Give
us one that you really like.
Let's see. I have really been liking it's not a restaurant, but off of Airport Road, there's a little pullout with a bunch of taco trucks, and I'm going down the line trying every taco truck. They've all been very good.
I love that. That's really kind of become a thing since COVID, right? All the food trucks, I guess a little bit easier to manage and not so many people sitting there. You don't have to have the infrastructure. But there are some amazing chefs that are doing things in food trucks.
Yes, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I love that. I will say this. My favorite thing to do in Santa Fe is early morning breakfast, and I like to go to the Chocolate Maven.
Yes, I love the chocolate Maven.
And watching them make all the crazy bakery things that they make while you're having a delicious breakfast it's kind of a unique experience.
Yeah,
I like it.
Yeah, definitely.
So just one example for me, and of course there's every variety of New Mexican food that you can get. And I don't think I'm a native New Mexican. Yeah. Until I went to Arizona, I didn't understand what New Mexican food was.
Yeah.
They have no idea in Arizona.
Yeah.
That's funny. That's funny. So I'm going to ask you another thing that I want our viewers to kind of understand. When you talk about tax, budget, and economic reform, the big picture is you're going to be working on some big projects that you feel like need to be reformed. But I want to ask you specifically about health care, because we were talking about the fact that doctors are leaving our state and that there are taxes on medical services.
Yeah.
So with those two things in mind, give us an example how taxes and policy changes impact health disparities. And when you talk about disparities, is that socioeconomic disparity?
Yeah, it could be socioeconomic disparities, or it could be actual health outcomes.
Oh.
So you might see, I'm going to use a food tax as an example. It's a little bit more tangible for people than a tax on medical services that can't be passed on to the consumer. So if you are taxing groceries and people can't afford as much food, or maybe it's not even a choice between getting enough food, it's they are substituting for lower quality food. Perhaps instead of buying whole wheat bread, they are instead buying white bread because it's a little bit cheaper, still bread, not quite as good for you.
Right.
That can cause issues like diabetes, it can cause a multitude of health issues, chronic illness. And what I really want to do is look systems level. So I want to look at state taxes or federal taxes and how that is actually trickling down to affect the choices that people make. Because we kind of think of ourselves as, oh, I choose to eat healthy, but what your option set, right? Like what you can afford and what you have access to isn't always your own choice.
Just kind of throwing something out there. I sit on a board of an organization called Feed New Mexico Kids. Yeah. We found that there were a lot of kids that don't have any food on the weekends.
Yeah.
And there's various reasons for that. There could be drug addictions, parents not participating. I mean, just all kinds of things. Mm-hmm. But most students in New Mexico can get 2 square meals a day at their school.
At school.
But during Christmas breaks, during the summer, they don't have food. Now, Feed New Mexico Kids provides a what we call a snack pack. I'm not going to call the food in there particularly healthy, but they're belly fillers. Yeah. And I believe that it's better than having nothing to eat.
That is best.
Yeah. So I think, do you think that we could become a state where children would not be starving?
I think so. You probably know the statistic that almost 1 in 3 kids in New Mexico is food insecure in some way.
Yes.
Whether they don't have enough food or they don't have enough of the right types of food. I think we can. We've shown that we really want to invest in our state. We have the Early Childhood Education Fund. We made childcare access free for people who couldn't afford it. That I saw something that said that lifted 120,000 New Mexicans out of the poverty line. Wow. Just that one policy. Wow. And using this oil and gas money for social benefit is one way that we can really do it. Of course, there's booms and there's busts.
And you're referring to that $6 billion surplus that we have.
Yes, yes.
Okay, now I said this earlier. I said it to Fred and to Christina. I'm a banker. I could show you 20 building contractors, all fabulous contractors. You'd hire any of them to help you, like with your beautiful building. But I would also say in the same breath, you might trust one of them to manage money. And that's what Christina, you obviously have some ideas about how the money works. And you know a little bit about managing it. Is there a way to set up budgets? And I think Christina was the one that said, right now there's little pools.
Yeah.
And so there's no money for one big infrastructure project. So are these things that you work on?
Yeah, I do work on that. And one thing that we talk a lot about in economics is trade-offs. So of course, if there's a little pool of money over here, it's not doing a lot, right? Like there's little flexibility when we create these small little pools. So for example, there was talk of creating a behavioral health trust fund with some of our budget surplus, which is great. Behavioral health is an issue now, but I do think we need to be forward thinking and think broader in terms of these large funds and think, well, behavioral health is an issue in New Mexico now, but perhaps in 10 years it will be another issue, and we don't want to have this money locked away. So there needs to be accountability in how this money is spent and a plan for it, but it also needs to be open enough, not written into statute, that it can only ever be used for behavioral health, and then we have to go back in via the legislature and rewrite the statute if we ever want to use the money for something else.
Yeah. What is probably the most difficult part of your job?
The most difficult part probably is, well, we're a small team. There's 6 of us. And we can only really focus on a few things at a time, which is difficult because all of this works in a system, just like the weather. There's air pressure, there's moisture, there's ocean currents and different temperatures and wind at different levels of the atmosphere. It's the same thing in the economy. So, right, like doctors are coming here and nurses and physical therapists and saying, well, I want my children to have a good education, and like our education system is lacking at the moment. And so all of these things feed into each other, and it's really difficult to pinpoint one thing and say this is the problem and this will fix New Mexico, because it's so intertwined.
Is it so complicated that we have no hope?
No. No. And I think the work that people are doing, different leaders in different areas, doing food work, doing mutual aid work, registering people to vote, all of these different things, people are, where they can, picking at the system. And I think change doesn't happen overnight, but what I see in communities or even in the legislature, legislators having one project that they're trying to get through that will really benefit their constituents, or one capital outlay that is really important to them.
Katie Gutierrez is Think New Mexico's Tax Budget and Economic Development Reform Director. You would not have me on any committee because I am pretty good at spending money, not real good at budgeting it. But it's funny because I was in a profession where I had to set up specific budgets and then hold contractors to, draw schedule and things specific to those budgets. But I've not been able to accomplish that in my own life. But I admire people that can do that. So thanks for all your good work.
Yeah, no, thank you.
And nice to meet you.
It's great to meet you.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.